He said, I wanna rock.
Are we gonna be goofing off like this every day?
We're not goofing off. We're creating musical fusion.
Wow. You're amazing, dude.
Thanks. I like to play.
I'm a small reporter from Rolling Stone magazine that's in town to do an exclusive interview with Michael Jackson.
I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
It is time for the Unsigned and Unhinged Meltdown.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Unsigned and Unhinged Meltdown. I'm your host, Frankie, and I have with me tonight a amazing band from Kenosha, Rude Rooster, and I have 3 of the 4 guys with us. I got Jamey, Michael, and Tim. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Yep,
awesome.
Very good.
This is my first time trying to do a conference call because everybody's on local or on different locations, which with local bands it's kind of hard to get everybody in the same time in the same building. Would you all agree with that one?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Michael, you do vocals, correct?
I do some of the vocals, and Brennan also sings. But to be honest, all 4 guys in the band can sing.
Yeah, all 4 of you guys sing, but you do rhythm and vocals, and Tim does drums and vocals, and Jamey, you kind of just do lead, right?
Yeah, I do rhythm and lead guitar and then background vocals.
Okay. And
Yep.
for those of you guys that have not seen Rude Rooster play live, first question I have for you guys is what's wrong with you? Where have you been? And second off, if you guys want to see an amazing guy playing guitar that is just so energetic, you got to look at Jamey. Jamey, you are like so energetic on the stage, and I freaking love it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a natural response, and I don't know. Yeah, if I sit around, it's boring. Yeah.
So where
or
did you
stand around?
Yeah, if you just stand around, the crowd can't get into it, and I gotta say, you kind of get the crowd into it, which is a huge plus. So where did you guys come up with the name Rude Rooster? How did the name for the band start up?
Well, the band started a long time ago, and there was 4 of us. This was before Jamey and Tim were in the group. We just all came up with some names, and we voted, and it was either going to be Rude Rooster, or it was going to be Toe Jam, or it was going to be Screaming Chinchillas.
Screaming Chinchillas. That would have been an interesting name as well, but Rude Rooster is what stuck, and I gotta say, it's an interesting name, and I like it. I have the sticker on my car, which you guys have seen.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, dude, I'm all about supporting the local music scene. So, now, you said that the band has gone through some changes, because you said when it started out a while ago. Now, with the current lineup, which is Tim, Jamey, Michael, and Brennan, how many changes have you guys all been through since then? I mean, Michael, I assume you're like the core from the original start?
Well, the band formed in 2001 and pretty much broke up within 6 months. We made the pretty stupid decision that we were going to record an album first before we even played out, and in the studio things started to go south quickly, but we had some cool songs, and we ended up getting some decent gigs, and so I needed to 2 of the guys quit pretty quick, so I needed to replace the bass player and the lead guitar player, and Jamey was number 1 on my list, and so he was actually in the band from early on. Mm-hmm. We were opening up for Enough's Enough, and we needed to be good. And I already knew who Jamey was. He was in a band previous to Rude Rooster called Blue Steel, which was a very popular local band. So Jamey came on in 2001, and then our drummer quit. We had Filet Altergat for a while, and then Tim came on at the recommendation of Filet. I knew Tim peripherally from other bands, but I did not know him that well. But our previous drummer highly recommended him, and it was a seamless fit. And as far as the bass players go, Taylor Thompson was the bass player for a few years. He's also still involved in the songwriting with the band. I enjoy writing songs with him, so but he just didn't want to play out anymore. And so Brennan was the last piece that we added. What was it, Jamey? 5, 6, 7 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was like 5 years ago, or well, yeah, maybe 6. I can't recall. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys have a total of 3 CDs out right now?
Yes.
Yeah, we had our first one came out in 2001, and that was mostly the original lineup. And then 2005 was the second lineup, and then the one we just released in 2016 is the lineup that we have now.
Now, why was there such a big break between the albums, between 2005, which was Step Up, and then Black Jesus Radio in 2016?
Jamey, Jamey wanted to take some time off. He had some school things going on. I think Jamey would be much better qualified to answer that.
Yeah, I just had a lot of things going on at the time, and I had to put rock, anything rock band or just playing out in general on hiatus. And and then I don't know, I just had my hands full at the time, and I just really didn't have time to do the band thing and all that. And that's why there's a big hiatus right there. And then when things kind of slowed down for me, that's when I had an opportunity to, start playing in a band again, not on a full-fledged basis, but I had time to do that. And then Michael had time as well. His situation kind of changed, and so that's when we reformed. I think it was in 2009 or 2010 when we, got back together again.
Okay,
that's right.
And Tim, how long have you been with the band?
Probably 7 years now.
So about as long as Brennan?
7 years.
Yeah, I think it is 7 years, Tim.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in the band before Brennan. He was in the band from like 2010 on.
Okay. Now, the first time I've ever experienced Rude Rooster, now, I'm all about the local music scene, and I'm really good friends with Three Left, which I keep saying the name over and over again on the podcast, but I'm not trying to toot horns, but that was how I got my foot into the local music scene in here in Kenosha and Racine. But Chadwick had said to me, hey, you got to check out these guys. These guys are pretty good. And I had gone to Taste of Wisconsin and seen you guys play at Taste of Wisconsin last year in 2016. That was my first experience of Rude Rooster. And I was actually kind of blown away by what I seen and what I heard. And sadly, me being the disabled guy that I am, couldn't really get in the tent because all the seats were taken, so I was sitting on a bench outside the tent. but got a good earful and was able to see, Jamey and Michael just go to town, and, Tim. Dude, you guys, the whole band is talented. I don't know why I just keep saying few names, but the whole band is talented. And I had a great time at a show where I wasn't actually able to completely see everything. But then the second opportunity got a chance for me when I went to the 38 Double D show over the summer. And that's when I was able to pick up the CD Black Jesus Radio. And must say, I absolutely love that CD.
Oh, thank you.
I love it.
Thanks. Glad you like it. Awesome.
And when it came down to me trying to come up, now we're going to get into my favorite songs off the CD, but I try to play just 5 songs off, for the bands that I have on. And it came down to a coin toss between 3 different songs, which was going to be the 5th song. And we're going to play that song first, which it was between Fluffy, Black Jesus Radio, and the song that we're going to play right now, which is Driver. So who actually wrote the song Driver, and what's the meaning behind the song?
Michael?
Jamey?
Yeah, well, it's all you, Michael.
No, that is I wrote that song. Realistically, I mean, I do a lot of the songwriting or birthing of the songs, but the songs go through a process, whereas the whole band, puts stuff into it. So we kind of share the songwriting responsibilities, but for the purpose of this conversation, I did write the song. It's about a place where I used to work. I was a Teamster out of Chicago. I drove a local delivery truck, and the lyrics are about people I worked with over the course of my long tenure as a Teamster.
Yeah, and you guys can catch the video on YouTube, which the video has a wonderful sign that says Kenosha on it. So
Right.
you know that they're from Kenosha. So for anyone that says there's nothing good in Kenosha, they're full of shit. There's a lot of good stuff that's in Kenosha. But
We're proud to be from the area.
Yes.
I love the Midwest area. So without any further ado, guys, this is the song off the latest album, which you can find on, I believe, Amazon. You can also find it on iTunes, or if you're at one of their shows, you guys still have physical copies left?
Yeah, we remember to bring them, we usually have some with us. Yeah.
Which I got my copy, and it's signed by the whole entire band. So if you're lucky, you might be able to get that done for you too. So, all right, guys, this is Driver.
Being
driver, we have a truck going past. That's what happens when we do this kind of stuff. Tim's on location for a track meet.
I could probably go down to my car if that'll be better.
Hey, I don't want you missing the track meet because it's your son that's playing, right?
No. My son ran already.
Oh, he already ran.
He doesn't run again until tomorrow.
Okay. Well, hey, I mean, it works. The truck driving by kind of helped us in segue from the song. So that was great.
Yeah.
So you guys have been together since, well, this core group has been together since roughly about 2010, but the band has been around since 2001. But in the process of being a band, what would you say social media has done for the local music scene? Do you feel it's helped, or do you feel it's hindered the local music scene?
Well, certainly you can get your product out to many more people than you would have before. I know that the majority of our digital downloads are in Europe and Eastern Europe. We have huge sales there. But on the other hand, because there's so much available just in, from your computer screen, and I know Jamey would agree with this, there's just not as many people that go to shows and support their local bands like there was maybe 15 years, 20 years ago. And
that's just sad.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I agree with Michael there. Yeah, and it's just social media. There's a positive and a negative, in my opinion. The positive is people can see when you're playing at any time. I mean, and they can research you and know more about you. But at the same time, if you put too much out there, like your live performances, people, kind of get the feeling like, why should I go see that band play where I could see all these YouTube clips of them playing, on the computer and all that. So sometimes you overexpose yourself. Mm-hmm. And so that's the downside with the social media. So there's like a positive and a negative. And so when you put too much out there, you're drawing yourself thin, in my opinion, in which kind of people say, like, well, why should I pay that $5-10 for a cover charge where I can watch them on the internet for free?
Understandable. That's
I
actually have never thought of it from that angle, but that's a good insight, Jamey.
Yes. It's just an opinion, but I know a lot of people disagree with me. But I don't know. That's the way how I kind of feel about the whole thing when it comes to social media.
See, and me going to as many local shows as I possibly can. Excuse me. I have been to shows where the majority of the crowd was the band's girlfriends and the band's girlfriends of the bands that are going to be playing on next, and not too much of a crowd. And I'm like, why is this place not jam-packed? And that's partially why I started this podcast, because I would go to shows and it's like, these bands are great. Why is there not? Why is this place not jam-packed? I was baffled by how the shows were not full. And this is why I started the movement of supporting local music. I bet you someone else started it, but I started doing it as far as with this podcast. And, I just really feel that there's so much talent in bands that are not signed, and just feel that they deserve just as much attention, if is not more, as some nationally accredited bands.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with that. It's I don't know. I totally. I don't really. Me personally, I don't really get out and see bands like I used to, and I really don't stay out as late as I used to as well. But the times I've gone out, I did see that the crowd is, it's low in numbers. I mean, it's like the audience to appreciate live music has gone down, and it's just a tough call which you can put it on. I mean, why it's like that. And then I can always say it, a lot of times people draw themselves thin putting too much stuff on the internet, which you want to do that to get exposed. But then again, too, you got to know your demographic. If you play too much in one area, you're, as compared to just playing once every 3 months or even like 6 months, if you play out every like 2 times in one area, you're kind of drawing yourself thin there as well.
Exactly.
And so I don't know. You just got to know your demographic a little bit, and just know your audience too. Are they going to go and see you 2 times a month, as compared to once every 3 months or once every 6 months?
Well, just for me personally, if you guys were playing shows throughout the Midwest at least once a month, I would probably go. Just saying.
Oh, cool.
But getting into getting into Michael's statement about how a lot of the musical downloads were coming from Europe and Eastern Europe. There was a band that I interviewed a few weeks ago that had a song that was actually being played on mainstream radio in Brazil. And Brazil had reached out to them, like some radio stations, and asked them to come down and tour in Brazil. So that's something that's in the works with them right now. Now, with being as so much stuff is being downloaded in Europe, is that something that's possibly in the future for Rude Rooster? Is possibly doing a few shows in Europe? I mean, I know that you guys got families and everything and such, but is that a possibility for the future?
Well, I would say probably not, but you never want to turn down an opportunity until you actually hear it. So, it would have to be weighed out as to what was offered and what we would be doing. I know for sure that we're all to the point in our lives where we don't really have a hankering. Well, I shouldn't say all of us. Maybe Brendan. Brendan's a little younger. That's a little bit of a different situation. But for the rest of us, we're pretty much tied down to the community, which is why we, do the band, run the band the way that we run it. I think jumping in a van and going across the United States, or jumping on a plane and going to Europe, is highly unlikely unless there was some sort of, some sort of huge financial or some sort of reward that would be would make it worthwhile. But as far as exposure goes, that's one thing the internet took care of. We don't have to worry about going to Europe for the exposure. We're already exposed there.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think we lost Tim in the phone call, but maybe he'll call back in.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're out and about in social media. You can drop calls like crazy. But we're gonna get into our next song, which was on the first album. Which I gotta say, the artwork for the first album is it's pretty awesome. So I gotta ask the question: who designed that artwork?
Well, the drummer Mark Cox, who used to be in the band, he had a brother who's a tattoo artist, and he commissioned his brother to come up with that, and he basically designed all of our early logos and all of that kind of stuff. At one point, we had a huge banner behind us, with our logo on it. We don't incorporate a lot of those logos anymore, just because it didn't feel right to keep using, Mark's brother's stuff when Mark was no longer in the band.
That's completely understandable. So, getting into the song that we're going to play, which is Fall, and like you said, this was, back when it was pretty much just you and everybody else just left, but Jamey came in to play. So I'm assuming that you, Michael, you had influence on all the lyrics in this song for the most part then, correct?
No, this song actually is the only song on the CD that I didn't have any on it. It was written by a guy who was in a band before Rude Rooster was together. A couple of the guys in the band were in another band called Meow in Lake County, Illinois. And this was a song that their old singer wrote lyrically. It's about drug addiction. And unfortunately, about 5 years after he wrote the song, he ended up dying of an overdose. It's a very real song to us. It's a song that's important to us, but we didn't write it, but we certainly believe it and, believe in the lyrics. And I mean, it's written by somebody that knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. And honestly, it's a song that I enjoy hearing when you guys play live as well.
It's a fun song to play.
Yeah. So, guys, off their first CD, self-titled, which I believe you can get it on iTunes. They don't have physical copies anymore because I tried to get one. But I'm pretty sure you can get it on Amazon. But I got the album off of iTunes. So this is Fall. So a really deep song about dealing with drug addiction and such. That was Fall, and honestly, it's a very moving song. And I gotta say, I love it when you guys play that song live as well. But we got Tim. We got Tim back, guys. So let's get a round of applause. We got Tim back.
Hey!
Hey! Oh man. So I've seen you guys a few times. Well, probably more than a few times. I know I've seen you guys at Shrimpfest. I've seen you guys at Taste. I've seen you guys at the Double D show. I think there was at least one or two other times. Oh, I even seen you at the Toys for Tots show.
Oh wow!
And
cool.
yeah, there was a few other shows that I seen you guys at, but I mean, you guys have been around for a while, so let's each kind of you guys field this question, yourselves. But we'll start with Jamey because when it comes in my lineup, Jamey is the first one here. So my little bubble says Jamey is first, which doesn't mean he's most important. He's just the first one in my bubbles. So what would be your most memorable show?
That's how we feel.
What would be your most memorable show, whether it be good or bad?
Most memorable show. I'm trying to think here. Geez, there's many of them. But just off the top of my head, the Taste of Wisconsin shows. There's not one in particular, but every time we play the Taste of Wisconsin, though, that's a very good time. It seems like we get, we play in front of a fairly large crowd, and it seems like the crowd is very responsive, which is nice, because, you don't really see that too much, like when we play, it's all original. So, a lot of people want to hear things that they know, but every time that we played Taste of Wisconsin, they were very open to hear original music, and then just hear the crowd response is just very, it feels good, when you hear that response and all that. And so those Taste of Wisconsin shows probably are the most memorable to me, that's...
Are you guys on the bill for Taste of Wisconsin again this year?
We are.
Yes.
Awesome. You guys got to let me know when.
We are going to be Friday night at 8:30.
Oh, well, I'll be there.
Yeah, it's July. Do you know the actual date, Michael? It's July.
It's the last Friday in July.
Friday in July. So, guys, I'm looking through my calendar, which I keep right next to my computer here while I'm doing all my work, and I'll give you the exact date. That would be July 28th.
Yes.
At 8:30. So, guys, you have no excuse. Now, Taste Wisconsin is free. Now, donations are appreciated for both entering and for the bands that are playing, because the bands are donating their time. And those that, local bands, they put in a lot of work. And they deserve to get something, guys. So, always tip them. Always tip them.
Oh, yes.
Now,
yes.
Unless you're a poor, disabled, crippled guy and you just sit there and run around screaming like crazy like I do and try and mosh, then you're entertaining the band. So, Michael, what would you say is probably one of your most memorable shows, whether it be good or bad, since being...
It's easy for me. They were both at the rave. The bad one was we were picked up by this national tour to do an opening slot with a number of bands. This one band was out promoting a new album, and I don't know why they picked us, because our music did not fit. It was a screamo. It was a screamo thing, and as the night progressed, we just started looking at each other like, "Wow, this is not us." I will give them credit. The crowd did accept us. They put up with our form of rock and roll. It was one of those live cast things, so there were, a lot of people that saw it across the country. So I would say that would be one of our worst ones, and I don't mean it because we had a bad show. It was just an awkward situation. But in that same building, we did a thing that was also out of our comfort zone, where we were part of I don't even remember what it's called, but they do them twice a year, and they do them all over the country, and they involve putting all different types of artists together. So there's makeup people, there's fashion designers, there's musicians, comedians, and they put them all together. They put a stage together, and then everybody takes turns doing stuff. Mm-hmm. So, we did our thing. We got up, I don't remember how many songs we played, but it wasn't a lot because there was like 4 bands and, like a fashion show. But while we were setting up, the fashion show was going on. So we're on stage hooking our stuff up, and these beautiful, obvious models are walking by us in very skimpy lingerie and bathing suits. Wait, that ain't the good part. Off to the side of the stage is where they were changing with no dressing room.
Oh my!
Beautiful naked women, and but they were all business. They were doing their thing. We were trying to be gentlemen, and of course we did not hassle them, but it was extremely distracting and funny. And it gave me a whole new appreciation for what some of these, quote unquote, beautiful people have to go through to show themselves publicly. It was very bizarre.
Oh my! Oh gosh. Okay, let's try and keep our heads out of the gutter there, Frankie. Let's try and do that. So, Tim, moving on to you. What would you say was probably your most memorable show, good or bad?
Well, I would have to say that rave show with the metal bands.
Okay.
Because, like Michael said, they were outside of our realm. They were nothing like what we play. But each of them, very kind. They were like, just go out there and do what you do. And they didn't bash us or anything, but it was a great show, just watching them play.
Oh, a lot of talent. Oh, my God.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, and some of those metal bands, I guess some of them I think some of them were actually national touring acts.
Oh, wow.
And that was just a stop. And these guys, these bands were really, really good at what they do. They were, I've seen a lot of metal bands, and these guys, the bands that we played with at that particular night, they were very, very, very good. And yes, we were kind of out of place, but the cool part, I think Michael said it, is they were very kind and receptive of what we were doing.
And that's just awesome, just how local music or other acts will just, be accepting towards other acts, and even go as far as helping out other local acts. I had a gentleman who was a rapper from Florida already be on the podcast, and he was telling me as far as hip-hop music goes, especially like down in Florida, the other acts are very selfish, and they're not willing to get other acts on the bill. And I was explaining to him, like, there will be other local bands in Kenosha being like, hey, we need another band. Are you wanting to come on this? Or even go as far as promoting other bands, which I've seen from numerous local bands throughout the area being like, hey, go and check out this local band. Or members from other local bands going to other local band shows.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
well, it's like you said, Frankie. You got turned on to us from Chadwick, and Chadwick and Three Left is a band that we've done a few shows with.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they're a little heavier than we are, but we absolutely love them. We think they do a great job. But I wouldn't say it's all awesome. I mean, there's definitely cliques. Mm-hmm. There's definitely bands that go out of their way to not bring our band on the stage with them for whatever reason. We don't know. We don't really get involved in the politics or the back and forth, but it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's not like we can't play out. It's not like we can't, do something if we want to do it. But there are certain bands that, and certain venues that seem to snub their nose. But in general, yeah, this is a good overall. It's a good place for a local musician to find people to meet and mingle with.
Yeah. Which is why I'm going to college for a business major, because I'm going to open up my own record label and start my own recording studio. And screw the Seattle grunge scene. I'm starting the Midwest rock and roll movement, okay? That's what I'm doing. It's going to be the Midwest rock movement, and it's going to be bigger than Seattle grunge. It's going to be bigger than East Coast and West Coast rap. Boom, Midwest rock scene. So we got our next song that we're going to play, which is probably I shouldn't say probably. It's definitely my second favorite song off the new CD, which is The Lonely Road. I love this song. I really do. And
it's one of my favorites.
it's like a song that you can jam to while you're driving.
Yeah.
I tell you, I got my roommate listening to you guys, and she was just like, "These guys are really good," and I'm like, "Yeah, they're really good." And then I handed her the CD to check it out, and she goes, "Oh, wait a minute," and I'm like, "What?" And she looked at the title of the album, and she goes, "Are these guys racist?" Because she saw Black Jesus Radio, and I'm like, why don't you look at a picture of the band on the front of the album?
It's actually Black Jesus Rodeo.
Oh, Black Jesus, yes. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said radio.
It's all right.
That's no problem.
It happens.
The Black Jesus part, right? That's important.
But I was just like, look at the album. Look at the album cover. See that guy right there? And she goes, "Oh, well, I guess I can listen to him then." I'm like, "Oh man." So we got Lonely Road coming up. Now, who took part in writing the lyrics for Lonely Road?
Michael did.
Yeah.
Or
I wrote
did
the
you?
Lyrics. No, I did. I mean, trying to think back, because that song was something that Taylor had come up with some of the parts, and then I took it and expanded on it, brought it to the band. The band, kind of. So, I believe Taylor wrote one of the lines, and I took one of the line that he wrote, which is, "I won't be with you on." Oh no, that's the middle part. It's the. I can't remember, but anyway, he wrote one line, and I thought it was cool. And it kind of put me in the mood to finish, to write the song and to finish it. It's a classic breakup song, type of thing, and also a defiant F you to the world.
Yeah, but it doesn't say F you. So those of you guys that are worried about vulgaric languages, Rude Rooster has no vulgar language in their music.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't go that far.
Now, when they're on stage, that's a different story. So, guys, if you're ready to rock and you want to hear a song about that breakup you just had and want to say, "World, why don't you go sit on the middle finger?" This, my friends, is The Lonely Road.
Here you go.
Okay, and we're back. The Lonely Road. I don't know what else to say. But that's it's such a great song, and usually you guys even open up with that song, don't you?
We have been, yeah. I don't know if we're going to continue doing that, but we certainly have been. We thought it was a great way to start the night off, and also, introduce ourselves in that little part in the beginning.
Yeah, because I believe at Shrimpfest, I know you guys definitely opened it up at Shrimpfest. And
yeah, if we didn't, it was certainly early in the set, that's for sure.
Yeah, because I sat there and I dragged the girlfriend with, and I was just like, hey, you got to come see these guys. And, sadly, she's a bit of a gambler and was like, oh, they got slot machines here at Shrimpfest. I'm like, oh, well, she's not going to be paying attention to the local music scene like I do. Oh, man. So you guys have played a lot of different venues. Broadstop being probably one of the bigger ones, and you guys actually played on the main stage at the Broadstop during the Toys for Tots show. But what would you say is probably some of your more favorite and memorable venues that you guys have played at?
Well, I like the one down in Penny Road Pub was a nice venue.
Oh yeah, yes.
Bradstop is a great venue. To be honest, the outdoor ones, Taste of Wisconsin, I mean, Jamey said it earlier, they have really upped their game in the last 3 or 4 years. We've been doing it, since I think the second year that it came into existence. Mm-hmm. And they've really upped their game with much better sound equipment, much better sound people. We now can play that show without any concern at all. We know that the sound people are going to take care of us. So, and that's just imperative with, with a band. You don't want to be worrying about, oh, can you hear me? Or you just don't want to have that conversation. You just want to go do your thing and not think about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jamey, go ahead.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I just want to say, too, and when you talk about venues, even though we only played there once, this is a great venue that we played. And we played there, I think, kind of like when they first opened. It's called Route 20, and when we played there, I think it was called Route 20 Outhouse. And I think it's called Route 20. And yes, it's right off the interstate. And
that's a great venue.
That is a great venue. And even though we played there once, I just thought it was a great venue to play. It just reminded me kind of, it reminded me kind of like a Broadstop, but just a little bit smaller, a little bit more intimate. Mm-hmm. And all that.
Yeah, what? You're absolutely right, Jamey. And we've played there more than once because we had a little drama with a radio person there one time. We won't go into that. But you're right. Route 20 Outhouse was a great venue. I would put that towards the top. And also Fusion, which we just played this last year, which is a much smaller venue. But again, one of those places you just don't worry about sound.
Yes. Yes, yeah, and that's another venue, like Michael said, Fusion. And even though that type of performance is a little bit different because it's more of what I usually call a recital atmosphere where you play and people are actually quiet and listening to you as compared to like a bar atmosphere where people just talk if they don't want to pay attention to the band, they talk amongst themselves. But Fusion, it's more, like I said, I call it a recital atmosphere, just like kind of like going to a jazz concert, a classical music concert, where people sit down and they're quiet and they're very attentive to listening to the music as well as seeing the band.
Yeah. Tim.
Yes.
What?
I would have to say the Outhouse is probably one of the best sound-wise. The Broadstop, however, is probably a great match to that. Their sound system is next to none as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, through not discrediting any of the venues you guys have mentioned, because all are great, although I've never been to Fusion, so I couldn't say. But in speaking with some of the bands that I have talked with already, a lot of them said they preferred the smaller venues. Like, I don't know if you guys have played at Crystals or have been to Crystals. But the smaller venues where you're kind of like right there and up front with the audience So it's kind of more intimate with the audience, and you can interact with them and see them better. How do you feel about venues like that compared to like a bigger venue like the Broad Stop or Route 20?
Well, I would say, we do that Thoughts for Food thing in Racine almost every year, and we've been moved around to the different little bars. Have you ever gone to that, Frankie?
No, I have not. I just moved out to Racine back in November, so
it's definitely something to put on your list to do, because for I don't remember what the cover is, but you have like 10 or 15 bars that has 3 or 4 bands each. You can walk around. They rope the area off. You can carry your drinks around. And so there's a lot of ways to see a lot of music in one night, and all the money goes towards the food pantry. But we've played a couple of those bars, like the Michigan Inn, where it's packed, the crowd's right up on top of you, and it doesn't get any better than that. Even if your sound system sucks, when you got the crowd right on top of you, that's absolutely the very best way for a band to get, interact with the audience.
Would you say that's similar to the show that's in Kenosha on 52nd Street, the Rock the Block?
Well, Rock the Block was a number of years ago, and it's kind of dwindled down, and I think Grant and them from 89 Mojo are, working to kind of bring that back. So it's along the same lines as that, but it's not as well organized as what they do in Racine.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely have to check that one out. Now, we got some feedback. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where that's coming from. But, hello? Did I lose you guys?
Hello.
All right, you're all
I'm
still
here.
there. Okay, great. So,
I'm here.
going with the venues and everything with up close and personal or the big stage, I mean, a show is a show. And I don't know, there was a show that happened, I want to say it was earlier last month or middle of last month. It was at McCullough's in Racine. And I hope I said the name right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
but
right.
that was a really decent venue for being a small bar. And
JJ is well known in the area for a great venue, and we love playing at JJ's. We played there a number of times as well. It's an awesome place to see a band.
yeah, because like I said, I'm new to Racine, so I'm trying to get the area going. And buddies of mine, the First Rule and Resistance were playing out there, and they're like, "You gotta come." And I'm like, "Well, I looked, did the Google search. I'm like, oh, you guys are like 5 minutes away from my house. I'll be there." 5 minutes away, and it was a $3 cover charge for 3 bands. It's like $1 a band. Where can you go and say you saw a band for $1? You know what I mean?
Right.
Or even $5 for 5 bands, or $5 for 3 bands is just a steal. I don't know where people get off complaining about that kind of stuff. Oh, it's $5. I'm like, but you're seeing 3 bands. Where's the problem?
Right.
So, getting into our next question here, what would you say is some of your biggest influences, whether it be like musical or non-musical, or people that have inspired you into becoming where you are right now musically?
Well, me, I couldn't really pinpoint, like personally, like if you're talking about me personally, I couldn't really pinpoint a person, but I must say, and I know some people might actually look at me weird saying this, but I'm just being honest here. Ever since I started watching or seeing and listening to bands and all that, I've been always influenced by the locals in Kenosha here, as well as Racine and and from across the border. Just this, I don't know. I just by observing how they play, how they interact, that I would just say that's a big influence on me. Just watching other people play, whether or not regardless of talent level, there's always something good that they're doing. I'm always blown away to just see them playing out live and just doing it. And then, I don't know, I guess that's a really big influence on me, it's from a live performing as well as just from a I don't know, just from a listening aspect as well, and all that. I would say just a lot of the locals. I mean, yeah, there's some of these big stars out there that that influence me. But I would say I have more been influenced by the local talent in Kenosha, Racine, and across the border.
Yeah. Now, Jamey, when another one of my close personal friends, that another close local band that I'm close with, which is Saint Tragedy. I don't know if you guys have played shows with them, but
yes, I heard of them. Yes.
Yeah. Now, Randy and you guys both play very similar with your energy on stage. Now,
you want to hear something funny?
What's that?
Randy was the original lead guitarist for Rude Rooster. He was one of the guys that ended up leaving. So he would be able to tell you some good history of Rude Rooster as well.
Well, we got Saint Tragedy coming on in July, hopefully. So maybe we can plug him into some questions then. Oh, Randy's a great guy. That's neither here nor there.
He is a good guy, and he's him and I did most of the songwriting on the first Rude Rooster CD.
So, Michael, who would you say are some of your influences that molded your craft? Whether it be like musical, like you could say David Lee Roth or what have you, but or my mom and dad. But who would you say are some of the people that inspire you or molded your craft?
Well, I grew up in the 70s, so, Beatles, Kiss, Queen. I was a bass player for a lot of years in a lot of bands up until the mid-'80s, so probably Stevie Ray Vaughan was my biggest influence on guitar.
There's a name drop for all of you guys, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And that's really probably more my natural little style. Vocally, I just, I never envisioned being the guy to sing all the songs or most of the songs. So, I just envisioned, I was more like a Beatles guy. So, all four Beatles sang. So I just look at the band. That's how kind of I view it. I get that I sing more, and that's fine because, the other musicians are doing a lot of stuff to keep the song going, and that way I don't need to. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense, rather than make them sing lead. Because, if you got Jamey Buencamino as a guitar player, you're not going to be, taking over the leads anytime soon.
Yeah. And we lost Tim again. Tim just said, I'm not going to answer this question.
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer. I'll answer for Tim. Will be my selfish answer. His inspiration is Neil Peart.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of them.
Yeah, he's a Dream Theater guy, so he likes that. Yeah. Mike, what's his name? Mike
Portney.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not in Dream Theater right now, but he's one of the core members of Dream Theater, and like I said, he's not playing with Dream Theater now, but that's probably is another one of Tim's influences, other than Neil Peart.
Yeah, he's in the Winery Dogs, which I know that when that band came together and were playing out, both Tim and I went to go see him multiple times.
Yeah, Neil Peart is probably my favorite musician of all time. I've seen Rush. Now, being my age, I'm only 38, and Rush is, been around since the 70s. Yeah. And I've still seen them like 3-4 times. And I remember my first time seeing them was on the Test for Echo tour, and they played 2112 in its entirety.
Love that album.
Yeah.
They played the entire 20 minutes of 2112, and then they had a 20-minute break, and I ran to the bathroom. And while they had their break, I went to the bathroom, and this guy looks at me, and he had to be in his 40s, and I'm like, 18, and this guy looks at me and goes, "Are you here with your mom and dad?" And I was like, "No, I came here to see Rush." I was like, "Oh, you like Rush? What's your favorite album?" And I said, 2112, and the guy just sat there, slammed his hands on the sink, and was like, "Yes, Rush shall live on for another generation." And I was like so freaked out by this guy. But like immediately, as I'm leaving the bathroom, he's waiting for me, puts his arm around me and says, "You're gonna be my friend." And I'm like, I don't know you.
Right.
But it was probably one of my most memorable concerts I've ever been to. It was my first time ever seeing Rush. So, but getting into our musical portion again, we're going to play a song which is off the second CD, which is The Edge. Now, I know you've got, like, I think almost every time I've seen you guys play live, this has been a song that's been on there. Now, Michael, is this a song that you wrote, seeing as it was back in 2005, or was that another
Well,
member,
yeah,
or?
this was one that Taylor and I wrote. Taylor came up with some of the riffs, and to be honest with you, I shouldn't say just Taylor and I wrote. Taylor and I birthed it. Jamey actually helped put together the cool little part in the middle where the instrumental is, and it was the very first song that we recorded for the new CD in 2005 that, you know, Jamey was involved in, because Jamey didn't play on the first CD, so it was very exciting to, you know, to get his quality guitar work, you know, on those songs. And yeah, it was the very first song we wrote, and I believe I wrote all the lyrics, and then Taylor came up with the original riff, you know, how the song starts, and then we just kind of worked through it. You know, Taylor was our bass player, so he was always good with the low end, coming up with some nice groovy things, and then I could exploit it, and then Jamey could take it and finish it.
Yeah. So, guys, off the second album, which I'm not sure if you can find this on iTunes. I mean, is it available on iTunes?
I think so.
All of our music's on iTunes. It's all on all the digital download sites.
Now, how I got my hands on this CD is after walking out of Toys for Tots, I sat there and I think I just got the most recent CD signed by all you guys, and I was putting it in my car. And a gentleman came up to me and was like, "Oh, are you here for the show?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, Rude Rooster just, you know, signed my CD, so I'm putting it away." And they're like, "Oh, you like them?" And I showed them the sticker on my car, and they're like, "Oh, do you got the rest of their music?" I was like, "No, I do not." So he gave me the second CD and said, "Here, listen to more of their music." And I'm like, "Awesome, thank you." And he goes, and as soon as I got in the car, on my way home, I put that in. It was like, I'm going to jam to some more Rude Rooster.
That's cool. Yeah. Cool story.
So, guys, this is The Edge off their second CD. So check it out.
Fear
Okay, so that was The Edge off Step Up, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Was
That's it. Yes,
Step
that's
Up?
correct.
Okay. I'm sorry, like I had this talk with Michael a few weeks ago or actually probably about a month or two ago now that when I was planning everything and I knew I wanted Rude Rooster on the podcast, I said to him, I said, I'm not too familiar with your older stuff, but what songs should I play off the old stuff? And he says, Step Up, off of Step Up, play The Edge, and off the first album, play Fall. And I was like, okay. Well, then I ended up getting the whole first album and was whipping through it and was like, yeah, I think Fall is the best one off here, and already had Step Up, and I whipped through it, and I was like, yeah, I like The Edge, but I can't remember for the life of me now. I can't remember what the other one was, but that's what we went to because my whole experience, you guys, was from the most recent CD. So I apologize that I wasn't around earlier.
No problem.
Yeah, it's all right.
So now you guys have been around for quite a while, and we lost Tim again. So maybe he'll call back again. But it's okay. We'll make do with what we got here. We got 50% of you guys. But if 50% is passing in my book, I don't care. Let's just hope that I pass in my finals that I got coming up on Tuesday. So, getting into the portion of Unsigned and Unhinged that I like to say is a exclusive question that we ask on here. Everybody that knows me now knows I am a huge wrestling fan. And the question we ask all of our guests is, if a wrestler came to you and said, I want to use one of your songs for an entrance song, what song would you hand them?
Geez, that's, I don't know. I'm stumped right there.
I would say maybe. Well, I would go with Drop In because it's thick and it's heavy and it's, but it's Drop In's a skateboarding song. It's all about skateboarding, but just musically, I think that's a pretty thick song. I also, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I want it to be larger than life.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on. I don't know. To be honest with you, it's been a while since I heard the latest CD, so I'm kind of jogging through my memory here of the songs and all that. So, the first one that popped in my head was Lonely Road, but that might have been because you mentioned it early on, in the interview here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a good song, though.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I just can't really put my finger on on a song.
It happens. All right, now we've kept these guys on here for quite a while, and as they've informed me, the battery life is getting low. So we're gonna move this on and just move into our last song, which is my favorite song off the newest CD, which I never get tired of hearing it, which is Water. I love this song. I as soon as the chorus gets in, I just want to sit there and just start like headbanging in my car. I don't care who sees me. I'm just like all about this song. I love this song. So tell us a little bit about Water and not the drink, because we know it's 2 hydrogens and an oxygen. But now, how did this song come about, and who's all behind this song?
This is another one that Taylor and I started. Jamey got in early on in the writing process because we had demoed it at Taylor's house, meaning we recorded it just to kind of work it out. Lyrically, I came up with the lyrics. I basically wanted a spiritual song that wasn't necessarily Christian. I wanted it to be more of an Indian style of water representing the cleansing of the soul. You know, along the lines of a baptism, but more in the Indian style of rebirth. So that's kind of how I directed the lyrics, and just to, you know, make a change in your life and do things differently. And then again, Jamey came in, worked up some really cool things. Pretty much the last minute or half minute of the song is, you know, all Jamey's ideas, which we just basically followed his suggestions. So it's definitely a song that we all collaborated on.
Okay, all right. Now, is this a song that you guys go to a lot on stage? Because I honestly think I've only heard it once or twice that you guys played it live.
Yeah, we don't.
We played it out a number of times, but we don't throw it in every time.
Mm-hmm. You guys should make this a go-to song. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, you know,
all right.
We're trying to, you know, I use an EBow on that song, and the EBow is not an instrument that I'm particularly awesome with, so it requires me to actually be practiced up. But I think, you know, we're trying to work on a new intro to that song to make it more live friendly. Even though I agree the song's cool and people like it, I was just trying to make it, you give it a longer intro. But yeah, we'll put it on the list. We'll play it at the Taste for sure.
Awesome sauce. So, besides the show coming up at Taste, which is, you know, a couple months away, do we got any more shows that are coming up recently for you guys? You got any more shows like up on the bills coming soon?
No, we got. Well, we do have that 30th Double D reunion, and you mentioned that earlier in your program that you were there last year, and that one is August 5th, and you probably have to check, you know, maybe our Facebook page and just see where the location is at once it's posted. You know, that's so, but it's the first Saturday of August, and I don't know what time we're playing, but it's be sometime in the early evening.
Yeah. Now that place is hard to find. I was there last year, and
I
got lost 3 times trying to find it.
It's one of those where once you get the address, you might have to, since a lot of people have smartphones, tablets, you know, laptops these days. Just plug in the address, and you just kind of Google search it or whatever you want, and you can kind of see kind of the approximate location.
Well, it's off of Russell Road. I mean, because my GPS took me into a subdivision that was completely opposite of where I was.
It's one of those where it's one of those where you have to kind of search, and you're probably gonna pass by it a few times until you find the exact location.
Well,
I know what you
that
mean.
I was there last year, I know where it's at this year. So,
we also have we just booked a show at Fusion for November 4th, which would be it's kind of a storyteller's thing. We'll be playing any new songs that we've written over the summer. We'll also be playing older songs, maybe a few covers, but you know, where we actually talk about the songs and explain what the motivation was for writing them.
Okay.
Usually that's with a cover. It's a smaller crowd. I think the place seats like 80 people. And we try to provide food or at least some snacks. They do have a bar in there, so you can get libations. But that's always a good place to play because, like Jamey said earlier, the crowd is quiet. They basically listen, and it's great interaction with the crowd. And then we have to confirm this, but generally we do play at Friday Ween at the Broad Stop, and that's the Friday before Halloween.
Yeah.
Matt Meyer puts all that together with the Smooth Riders, and we usually do that. So those would be things coming up. We don't have anything booked between now and the Taste. We're going to enjoy our summer a little bit and, you know, write some new songs.
Awesome. And where is Fusion at?
Fusion's at 5014 7th Avenue. It's right downtown Kenosha.
Okay.
Kind of by the boathouse. If you know where the boathouse is, you're within a half a block of Fusion.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate the time that you've given me today. Maybe
you're welcome.
Maybe we can have you guys on in the future again and play some more of your music.
Oh, sure. Sounds great.
We're always up for that.
All right.
Yes, and then thank you for having us on.
Awesome. I honestly, the thanks comes from me to you guys. You guys put on great music. You guys put on a great show. I don't know why bands keep telling me why they keep thanking me. I should be everyone should be thanking you guys, because you guys are working so hard on a daily basis, and on top of your jobs that you have on the side, you're also, being rock stars on top of it. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for everything you guys do.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. So till next time, this is Frankie, always saying support local music and check out this killer song, Water.